I just spent like a solid 10-15 minutes trying to find the best spot to record this podcast episode for you, because I took myself to the lake and I wanted to record, but I also didn't want the sun shining, and I also wanted you to be able to see the scenery so we can both enjoy it. So welcome back to another podcast episode of the Source Embodiment Podcast. My name is Sheila, and thank you so much for being here as always. So even as I was walking over here, I was already thinking of like what information my higher self wanted me to pull through so I can share with the collective. If you follow me on Instagram, I talk a lot about like Source Diva Bootcamp and being a part of this energy of being so madly, intensely vibrant and radiant, but then at the same time being in alignment with Source. My analogy of it and how I like to think of it is basically being like a really sassy bitch, but then at the same time knowing how to control your emotions and being connected to your intuition, your higher self, Source, God at the same time. So imagine the most attitude kind of girl, the most bitchiest, the most sassiest, the ultimate diva, but she's balanced. She's in alignment with God and Source. She doesn't fall into the illusions of dark forces, of spiritual, religious programming that keeps her small, because she notices that she is literally the epitome of Source, as we all are. We're all connected to God, we're all connected to Source, but then also having this raging fucking embodiment that is so intimidating that she probably feels like she has a gun on her at all times, but at the same time can love you so deeply and so hard, and loves herself so deeply and so hard, and is literally the best mother, wife, sister, friend, and self-aware woman who also respects herself and holds herself in alignment at that capacity and at that caliber, that it literally feels like she's holding a gun. But she's soft and she's feminine and she's embodied and she's sweet and she's kind. She's honest. She's not afraid to share her emotions. She's not afraid to confront the deepest, darkest parts of herself, even though they feel like they can literally tear her apart. She still goes headfirst to confronting them. I've been kind of exploring this idea of a source diva, is what I like to call it, a source diva, because I feel like my entire life, low power mode on my phone, I feel like my entire life, my journey of being once super in my masculine, identifying as being like a tomboy kind of girl, and then realizing how I was always picking up the pieces for other people, going into the rabbit holes of spirituality, really confronting parts of myself that were terrifying, taking the initiative to start my spiritual self-help development journey because I was sick of my own bullshit. Years down the line, to be so obsessed with more self-development, but in a way that feels in alignment with Source. I had to look back because I heard like a duck or something. It just sounded very interesting, and honestly probably could also be deer hunters. I live in the country, you guys, so I'm expecting anything and everything. We have gun on us at all times. This is also part of it, but like I've just been playing around with this idea of like, what does it mean when I am a source diva? When I can accept the fact that I have this attitude problem because I've always been told that, or accept the fact that like, you know, I used to always get told by my ex, like, you are so selfish, you only think about yourself. And I would get so triggered because I used to believe that that was true, although it never felt like it was because I was always doing stuff for other people. And in a way, I was triggered because I wasn't selfish. So I was getting triggered because I wasn't being selfish towards myself. Everything in my life, all the things I've done before leading up to these moments were always for other people, and I always put other people ahead of me. So I was thinking and playing with this idea and exploring it, sitting with my intuitive bestie and coach on this idea of being a source diva, of what it looks like, what it feels like, what it means. How does she show up when she confronts her emotions, knowing that energetically, although it can be painful, physically it might affect her body, but also having the balance of holding it, confronting it, and deciding to move forward. Having the acknowledgement that, yes, my body is part of this temple. Oh, I don't even know what just fell on me. You guys, I promise you I can be outside. Don't worry. I'm going to leave that in there. I'm not even going to edit that out. I'm just going to leave that in there. We're rolling. But even part of this thing of like, even part of this thing of what it means like to hold herself physically and not be scared of what comes from that, and like doing the hard things, but doing it out of a place of balance, not because we feel like it's going to benefit someone else at the end of the day. And this whole idea of a source diva, it really is the question of who are you when you're most in alignment with source, with God, your higher self, and your intuition, and no one else is tied into that except for the overflow domino effects of what happens when you tune into that. So we all have responsibilities, whether you're a mother, a sister, a caregiver, a parent, a single woman. We all have these responsibilities that we hold, that we can take a lot of honor to hold. But what does it mean when you hold it and you don't tie it to anyone else? When you do the inverse and you hold that energy and you pour it into yourself, and not just pour it into yourself through action, but through awareness, through the embodiment of you playing around with the energy of it, of you looking in and seeing how it's already perfect, that you have these quote unquote flaws that actually just have to be alchemized into seeing how perfect they are and how they're actually a massive soul advantage for you. This is the source diva that I'm talking about. The version of you who isn't afraid to be unhinged, but at the same time loving and soft. The wild woman who terrifies the fuck out of people, but everyone is insanely in love with her because she's insanely in love with herself. It's really triggering. It's insanely triggering, because what it does and what it means is that you have to be the one willing to make that sacrifice for yourself, the one willing to see yourself in the eyes of God and be the first one to hold yourself,